started. Have a seat, everybody.
Thank you.
So we do have to fill up some roles. I know that I have volunteers for our counter, which is Jennifer. We have a timer, which is also Jennifer. And our word of the day. As timer, Jennifer, could you please explain the role, please?
Sure. So
And
in
I'll
my
counter.
hand, there's the signals like this. So it depends on your speech project. It would be normally from 5 to 7 minutes. At 5 minutes, I will show the green flag, which means that you have 2 minutes to finish the speech. Yellow is 1 minute to finish, and red means that you have the last 30 seconds grace period. And after that 30 seconds, I will ring this so that you have to immediately leave the stage. No, I'm just kidding. You have 5 seconds to leave. And the table topic section, which is the third session of the meeting, people will have the chance to impromptu speak. And with that, is 45 seconds minimum and 2 minutes maximum. And once you see, the only thing to remember too, the most important thing, when you see the red one, you have to wrap up pretty quick to finish. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Would you please tell them about our counter as well?
Yes.
Sorry.
As the ad counter, I would love to help you reduce the filler words that you might make within your speech. Filler words include so, repeated word. At the end of meeting, I would give the report of how many times you need to make those filler words in your speeches. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. I need a volunteer as a grammarian. Arsh, would you like to
Sure.
take
Yeah.
a role?
Yeah, can I borrow a pen? I actually forgot a pen. So.
Oh, okay.
Sure,
Yeah,
they have it.
yeah.
They have it with a
Okay, cool.
flag. See it?
Thanks.
Yeah.
And could you tell us what a grammarian does?
I'll just be looking for proper use of English language, so any words that might be off or any words that you use that might be a good description to your speech.
Thank you, Arsh. And our ballot counter today is Jennifer again, or is somebody
yes.
else?
I could.
How about Ash? I haven't talked about a word yet.
Okay.
I want the surprise factor, because if I can,
Yeah, that's
I
right.
announce.
Okay.
Yeah.
Uh,
These people
Yes.
okay.
Do you know how to do the ballot counter? Or maybe Tony
Yeah, I
can
can do.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Can you
so
tell us what the
as
ballot
a
counter
ballot
is?
counter, I basically count the votes from other people and help the president to announce the winner of today.
Okay. Our video master today is going to be the genius of Apple. So we're just going to let that speak for itself. And without further ado,
Wait. You haven't done the word yet.
yes, sorry. And now I'd like to introduce our word master, Wei Ming. Wei Ming, what is the word of the day today?
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmaster, most welcome guests. The word today is intent. I put it up there as an adjective. It's also a noun, so you can use that as a noun as well. It means, as an adjective, it means determined and resolute. And so an example is while he was intent on waking up early at 6, he actually got up at 6:30. So to go along with today's theme of goals, intent is what you want to do, and goal is what you could achieve. Mr. Toastmaster, please use the word. I'll count at the end of the meeting how many times you use the word and report it.
Thank you. It's now my intent to kick off the meetings. The main attraction of today's meeting with our prepared speeches. And our first speaker of the day is Jose. He's doing a project through the Pathways program, and the topic is past lives, where his project is about research and presentations. Jose.
So you're, okay. my topic is the continuing saga on to mindfulness and meditation, well-being, which is the trend that the topic I always go with. In my last, so we have phases. So in my last speech, it was about gremlins, which was the inner voice within us that may encourage us or discourage us from our goals or things that we want to do. Well, today I will cover the origins of gremlins, or possibly one of the origins of gremlins, which is past lives. There are other origins, for example, your childhood memories, things like that. But this one is past lives. Past lives is a topic that's very, very controversial, and I will cover some of that. It's I got it from Brian Weiss. He has a couple of books, Many Lives, Many Masters, and Messages from the Masters, which is, the topic is, if you don't get it, it's reincarnation. So, what is it for? And what will it do? I will go through the definition of what it is, and I'll go through who it applies to and how it's done in a very short manner, and I have experience on it and what it feels like. So let me start with the definition. It's an investigation into it's a hypnotic method of therapy wherein you investigate somebody's past life and see if that is a causal factor for the present problem that you're having. In a very simple example, for example, if you have mysterious pain in your neck, maybe during the morning, and that could be attributed to some past life that you had before, where you died drowning, things like that. That's what it's for. What is it for? It's a therapeutic method. Not everybody does it because it's controversial. And what are the two controversies behind it? First, it is not evidence-based. How can you prove something like that, right? That's the controversy. How can you do that when the guys already died, right? There's a lot of partial proofs in that there are children that has mysteriously learned languages that's never existed for 100 years, or there are people who go to places and they know what the place is when they've never been there before. But it's not an absolute proof because a detractor will always say that, wait a minute, the guy researched it, or the kid studied for it. That's why the kid can say that. So it's not a definitive proof. The other objection is that it may create false memories. Is that a past life or a dream, right? A daydream. So that again, it will never be proven. But from my perspective, I don't think it matters, because the way I see it, a past life experience or a past life is delving into your higher consciousness, your mind, your soul, your absolute intelligence. So you're tapping into. Well, we all know that the human brain is unlimited in its capability. So if you tap that, then it shouldn't be a bad thing, right? So with that, I'm going to go through how it's done. First of all, before you get into past life, there is a requirement. It's called grounding. Grounding means you have to you have to know who you are. And again, the intent being you know who you are and you're staying with who you are, right? You know who you are, you're happy with who you are, and you're just, the session of past life experience is only there to correct a few things or a few questions that you may have about yourself, and that's what it's for. Grounding is very important in that you don't get lost in it, right? You don't believe in it, or you don't get misled into your life. I think, and then you go, how is it implemented? It's a meditative state. So you go through, I think I went through, in one of my topics before, I went through meditation. You go through relaxation session, going deeper, meditation, inner consciousness. One of the ways of that is you imagine yourself going down a stairway, counting from 10 to 1. At the bottom of the stairway, you get into a door, and you open the door. And one of the most common scenarios for past life is you go into a beach, and there's a fog bank. You turn right, that's your past. You turn left, that's your future. If you go to your past, you're invoked by the practitioner to go to in the past moment in your life that's most relevant to the issues you are currently having. And my personal experience, all those things actually do come out because, again, maybe I'm unique in that I'm very visual. I have an inner sight, so I can see those things. And there is, the fog bag does open up, and you actually do see something. So it's very exciting. I think that you get, I won't go into detail, but you do get a few pointers about your life, the current life, and how it applies to you, and a lot of the things that you experience may apply to you. So in summary, I think past lives, the session, the practice is helpful in that sense. And as I mentioned before, it is tapping into your higher consciousness. It is more like intuitive dreaming, right? When you go to sleep and you wake up in the morning, oh, that's how I should do things. That's kind of like that. If you put it that way and you still remember who you are, then you'll do very well. Thank you very much.
Is that the alarm?
Yeah, what was that?
It's 7 minutes.
Thank you, Jose. We'll take a minute or two to write your evaluations on your ballots. That's one of the most important aspects about being a Toastmasters. Now, at this time, we're gonna have our second speech. Our second speaker is Tony. His topic is a somewhat intriguing title called Void of Energy. Now, Void of Energy sounds like it's something from a science fiction novel, but I'm eager to hear what Tony has to say. Ladies and gentlemen, Tony.
Thank you. A little bit warning. This is kind of heavy to digest topic a little bit. So research about energy, especially related to personal development, is one of my passion as a counselor. Even though career counselor is something maybe related to job seeking, practice, habits, some kind of boring stuff, but there is a more fascinating facts about that. So first ask you the question, how many of you know about atom, the words atom and the concept about it? Please raise your hand. 1, 2, 3. Atom. The little bit fruit. With electron and nuclear. Okay, everyone know that? Oh, sorry. Okay, thank you very much. The atom, in fact, imagine if the atom has a sign of plug and play. The nuclear have a sign of the dust floating inside plug and play. That's a nuclear. This is what we're made for. And then when the technology grow, they realize and they start to ask the question, what combined to make the nuclear and the electron? So this space here, basically just space, okay? So if you are made of atom, let me tell you this, 99.99% of your body is empty. Because the majority inside the atom is empty. When I zoom into this one, people start to realize they have a smaller particles inside of a proton, of a neutron, of all kind of particle that we previously know like 100 years ago. Like, we're calling it a quark. You might question like, what the heck is talking about? The career counseling and these all weird words. But let's say in a minute. We're gonna quickly jump into that section. So the quark, people think about it as a particle. Particle like a bit round one, like this. But when they zoom in, enlarge it, smaller, inside this very small stuff, they realize it's only this. So we come vibration. And based on the research, assumption theory, they more convinced that we are just made of energy. And Einstein is famous for that, of the equation EMC squared, right? So why do I bring up some heavily physics theory in career development? Let's think in this way. If you consider yourself as a vibe of energy only, no matters, you are the energy only. You are affected by every kind of energy that come to you. The thing that you eat, the thought that you think of, the words that you hear from other people, the environment that you're surrounded with, the air that you breathe in, everything is a vibration. How many of you see the word good vibe only in some random restaurant and good vibe only? Yeah. So and more people start to realize that the subtle thing to change is actually have a bigger impact on a person's life. Now, I go into the personal development and career counseling things. When I talk to students, I realize that there is something that they face, the problem that they face is intangible. It's something that's so subtle that the people could not think of the root cause and they just question, why does he behave like that to me? But it doesn't know, they don't know that sometimes the thought of the child, the students, come from the vibe of the family itself. The parents are the one who created by hatred words, by unreasonable yelling, by imposing, by depressing their feeling. And then they create the products that they don't want. So the first change that you want to do is to change the vibe. Then they start to change the tiny little particles inside of your body. And then they start to change every atom of your body, and then it changes you. In fact, everything was created twice. In the books of the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, they say the law of 2 creation. Everything is created twice, and the journey of creating things is like this. First, we start with thoughts, and then it ends with matters. You have to put things inside your thought first. If you want to achieve something, change the vibe. The vibe is actually starts from your thoughts, the pulse of your thinking. And also, if you read the book Think and Grow Rich, it's also the second affirmation about this. That if you want to change something, if you want to reach your intent, if you want to achieve your goal, which is the topic of today's meeting, first change your mind, change your vibe. It will change everything inside of you. Until the day that you realize that your tiny little change, a little habit, a little vibe that you think of a few years ago, now it comes into place as a matters. That you are successful people who reach your goal, who start your company successfully, who build successful products, or who can travel the world, film a lot of videos, and inspire thousands and millions more people to follow your path. That's it, the matters that you want to create. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Tony. Wow. That was a lot of energy addressing the void of energy. Again, we take a few minutes to write some feedback for Tony. Okay. I'd like to now introduce our general evaluator, Wei Ming. Wei Ming is a longtime member and guiding light for our little organization. Thank you, Wei Ming.
Thank you, Arun. Good morning, fellow Toastmasters and most welcome guests. So we're going to the second section of the meeting, which is providing evaluation for the prepared speeches. And we have 2 evaluators. It happens that I'm one of the evaluators. I'm evaluating Jose's speech. So I'm going to do that, and then I'll bring up our second evaluator. So Jose, that was a very interesting speech. In fact, you presented yourself very well in terms of being very calm in front of the audience, like all your previous speeches. And so you project an aura of at least knowledge and authority and calmness. And that's good, because you're talking about a topic that some people might not believe.
Right.
And that's a good challenge for all of us as Toastmasters, to try to come up and talk about something that maybe some part of the audience, I don't know how many of you believe it, but maybe there's an inkling that some folks in the audience might not be willing to accept the idea. And that's in itself is a big challenge, because that's hard to do, to be able to stand up here and say about something. Now, other people might believe it, so you don't know. But until you talk about it, you can't tell. That's the nature of public speaking, is you talk about things and we'll see what happens. You present yourself very well. You have, and you gave us an introduction of, or at least the structure of your speech. You talk about the potential objections, how this is done, and some of the other ideas around past lives. Very interesting, and so that's what I get. Very good presentation. Some suggestions. You, like myself, do a lot of hand gestures with your hand. It's very good, but they tend to be the same thing. It's like, your hand is always like this. You might consider it when you talk about going down the stairs or something, that you put your hand differently, pointing down, or if you talk about the left and the right, so the left and right is complicated because it's your left, but it's the audience right. So you have to sort through that, and that requires actually a lot of practice to sort out the left and right with the audience. But having the right hand gesture could be very useful. Also, you might want to consider adding more vocal variety, especially in some of the areas. When you talk about a little kid, maybe you have a higher voice, and try different variety in that area. And although this is more of a research and presentation type topic, to me, because you address a lot of objections at the beginning, it sounds like a sales type presentation in terms of trying to convince the audience of a certain idea. So for that type of thing, might be, you might want to add at the end a call for action. What should the audience do? Maybe do more investigation, or look at the topic, or if you don't like the topic, let me know about it, get some feedback from the audience. That would be good too, because if nothing else, for controversial or potentially controversial topic, asking for feedback is a way of maybe lowering the barrier with the audience, and get more acceptance. That's maybe a possible technique. In any case, very interesting speech on a challenging topic in terms of presenting in front of the audience. It may be some part of the audience you don't know whether would believe the topic or not. Other people might. I actually don't know who's who. Because I didn't look at the audience. But and you have a lot of great techniques in terms of presentation. So thank you, and look forward to your next speech. So I'm going to introducing our second evaluator, who is a regular guest and a area governor, area district.
They call it director these days.
Area director.
I think they
Area
decided
director.
the president, that
That-
titles like president and governor were a little bit too official.
By saying it 3 more times, then maybe I'll know how to do it. The area director, area director, area director. Dad.
Thank you.
The evaluating.
Thank you. I had no idea that this was going to be Mystical Week at Startup Speakers. Thank you.
We don't know either.
Makes me wonder if they collaborated. Thank you very much for that speech. One thing I loved was how you delved into I'm going to use a different analogy here, the domino effect of how behaviors can escalate and affect a far wider area than was originally intended. Like, for example, when you were talking about how someone's bad behavior would have their origins further back in their friends and family, and how what they did was going to affect someone's behavior and attitudes and such later on. I loved that description and how you delved into that in your speech. And I also love the fact that you tried to use an overarching analogy for all of this, from the large effects being like the human body or plug and play, and the small causes being, you know, the atoms, the quarks, what you call vibrations. It's very difficult to try to make an analogy like that, to take one thing, physics, and apply it to another thing, society, ourselves. That's a difficult thing to do, and I very much appreciated that you're going into that. That said, I'm not sure that I always quite caught the analogy, to be honest with you. For example, when you started zooming in on the atom and you mentioned the quarks, I wasn't really too sure what the quarks were supposed to represent. And when you said that everything was a vibration, I remember the physicist in me, what little physics I know, was thinking, no, there's also magnetic fields and charges and spin. I think that if you wanted to push the atom analogy, you might not have wanted to go into quite the level of detail that you did and focus more on specific parts that aided your analogy, rather than bring in things like quarks, which didn't seem to relate, or everything being a vibration, which isn't quite true, and focus on things like as the fields affect the larger body, so does the little things that we do affect us as a whole. Focusing on that, I think, would have strengthened up the speech a little bit. Also, I think your opening line could use a little work. You opened up with something like, I am interested in energy. Doesn't really grab me. Something that pulls us in, like, do you know what you're made of? Or do you know how you are affected by the energy within you? Something like that, to pull the audience in, I think would have helped your speech a lot. That said, for all my complaints, I really like to thank you for being ambitious in this speech. Listing out simple facts is easy. Listing out things like the small things you do can affect the people and your entire life is pretty easy. Trying to come up with a new way of thinking, a new way of looking at it, like your entire atom analogy, that's harder. So I would encourage you to do that. You might want to work on the details, but I love that overall approach to a speech. So thank you very much for that.
Thank you, Dan. So that concludes our evaluation section of the meeting. I'll return control to our Toastmaster, Haroon.
Thank you. Now that we've got our prepared speeches out of the way and our evaluations, now we're going to start off with the fun part of our meeting, which is our table topics, where we have an opportunity to speak from our, I like to say from our guts, but it'll be more about impromptu stuff. And our table topics master today is Hannah.
Toastmasters and fellow guests. Today, I know we talked about for our main topic to be trying to achieve your goals but we're gonna shift gears and it's gonna be very similar. We're gonna talk more about dreams, right? I don't know if everyone's seen that quote and I'm probably gonna butcher it, but it's very similar. But don't be, led by your fears, but the power of your dreams. And so that's gonna be the table topics for today. And so we're gonna hear from some people that we have not heard from already today. And then Kevin, okay. And Kevin, you're a guest here too this morning. Okay, good morning, Kevin. Okay. I didn't know if you were with Dan. I was like, are you and Dan together?
No, we go way back.
We go back all the way to 6:45.
Yeah, 30 minutes ago.
6:50. And we've been best friends ever
Exactly.
since.
I like that. See, here in Toastmasters, you can make a best friend
That's
in
right.
30 minutes, right?
That's right.
So the first question I have, of course, looking back at dreams, everybody had a dream when they were a child. I know when I was, maybe a little bit more mature, maybe in 3rd, 4th grade, my dream was to be the President of the United States. And my mom said, you know what, honey, you could do whatever you want. If you want to be the president, you can go be the president. And, at that time, I didn't know there's no female president at the time. Where, I was just catching on to the idea of, women like me don't look like the president of the United States. But, it was encouraging to have a parent that said, you know what, honey, follow your dreams, do whatever you want. And, of course, my dreams shifted. In junior high school, I wanted to be a world-renowned DJ. And I wanted to travel the world. So there are 2 different career paths that I had that dream of having a kid. So the first question, just going off the topic of dreams, when you were a child or when you were younger, what was your dream? What was your dream career, your dream profession? How did you want to go change the world? Somebody we haven't heard from yet speak. Any of the guests? We have Arsh.
She's no longer a guest.
Oh, she's not a guest. Oh, okay. Fellow Toastmasters.
Would you like to come up there?
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Growing up, I had a lot of dreams, but I can't even remember all of them of what I wanted to do. I think I wanted to do everything at one point. But one of my dreams was maybe in 3rd grade, I wanted to be a heart surgeon, and I really wanted to go into the medical industry because I thought it was amazing that doctors could save lives and through fixing up your heart, and that's like one of the main organs in your body. And I was very intrigued by that, and I really, really wanted to go into the medical field up until, I want to say, about high school, when my sister broke her arm, and I've never broken a bone, knock on wood, hopefully I don't yet either in the future, but I've never really experienced going to the hospital for anything and seeing something gory in real life, not just movies. So my sister broke her arm, and she had to get a couple of screws in her elbow when she was younger. And when we went to the doctor for them to take her screws out, I remember I was there, and they took out the screws, and blood was just gushing out of like the screws. And she wasn't looking, and I was looking at it. And the nurse asked her, the doctor asked, "Are you does it hurt?" And so she's like, "No, it doesn't hurt." But she wasn't looking at what I was seeing. And then I think I made a face when I saw that happen. And then the nurse made a remark. She's like, "Oh, it's not hurting her, it's hurting her sister." And after that I realized, oh no, I do not have the heart to be in the medical industry. I can't see people in pain, I can't see blood. And that's kind of when that dream was kind of shattered of not wanting to ever go into the medical industry and see anyone in pain or any blood or anything along those lines, because it doesn't make me feel good. It makes me really sad.
Alright, now we're going to be talking about all kinds of dreams too. So maybe the kind of dream you have when you take that midday nap or weekend nap, or maybe you have a dream late at night that kind of scares you or terrifies you. Now I know dreams can also inspire us at night, but sometimes they can also scare and disturb us. And so somebody that's had a recent dream, maybe in the past couple of years or in this past year, that kind of scared you or disturbed you. Kevin.
Dream that scared me or disturbed me?
So I am an entrepreneur, so what scares me? Yes. So what scares me is failure. I do for my family, for my friends, for the people I want to employ. I'm scared of that, and I cannot allow that to happen. So I'm determined to be here at 6:45 before anybody else was here this morning to learn and network. So I have to succeed for not only myself, but my family, my friends, to build my business. So failure is not an option. So I have to make this happen. As far as dreams, I am the product of a successful, my father was very successful in his business. He grew it. It was, not millions and billions of dollars, but he grew a business, and he employed 50 people, and he allowed them to be successful and have families of their own. So that's my dream, to do that, and that's my intent, to build this business. But tying in failure is not an option. So I work hard all the time. I work strategically. I align myself with the proper people. I don't waste time with people that are obviously trying to take advantage of me and my business. I cannot allow that. I cannot allow that failure to happen. So if people are obviously trying to do things that aren't going to be in my best benefit for my company, I have to dream with that intent to not fail. So trying to tie in all those themes together. So that's why I cannot accept failure. Thank you.
All right. So the next one's going to be a fun one. So we talk about dreams and things that we want to happen in our life, and then things we aspired for, like a project or profession or career. But what about a dream vacation, right? We all work so hard, and we're always looking forward to that vacation we have on our calendar, or where we want to go next, or what other stamp we want to put on our passport. So what's been a dream vacation of yours that maybe you haven't got a chance to fulfill yet, but you look forward to fulfilling soon in the future? And my dear, if you want to come up. I know you
They throw you right in here, you know.
And I know you have a beautiful name,
Starlight.
Starlight.
Yeah,
okay.
thank
So-
you. So I haven't actually taken a real vacation since 2014 when I got married. So,
Oh, wow.
because me and my husband have been paying off all of our debt, which we're almost done. But my dream vacation is the Maldives. Like, I look at it on Instagram all the time, and I just vision myself in one of those huts over the water, looking at the ocean. I told my husband I want to go for 2 weeks. He said, no, I want to go for only 5 days. I'm like, why? And I asked him why, and he goes, because what are we going to do? I'm like, we're going to spend time. What do you mean? And he said, no, only 5 days. And I'm like, well, you can stay for 5 days. I'm going to stay for 2 weeks. I don't know what you're going to do with that other time. But that is where I'm going to be. So you figure out what you want to do with the rest of your time, but I'm still going to be there. And I look at it, and they have an underwater restaurant, excuse me. Yes, it's underwater, and it's beautiful. You can see the fish, and the water is clear, and it's one of those places where you just want to disappear. You don't want your cell phone to work. You want to just completely disconnect, and it's a complete difference from where we're at here, the hustle and bustle and the moving and grooving, and it's just like, you just want to completely disconnect. So I told him, I said, honey, like, we should do this. And he's like, okay, but when do you want to do this? And I said, before we have kids. And he said, no, that's not going to happen. I said, why not? He said, because we need to start having kids soon. I'm like, so anyways, but yes, the Maldives is my dream vacation, and I know I'm going to travel there one day.
Yay.
So when are you going? Put a date on the
I
calendar.
just need a booking.
Can you take us along?
Yeah.
We spend the rest time when your husband is not.
Exactly. You guys can come with me when he leaves.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much, Starlight. Okay, I don't know how much more time we have for, how many more? One more?
Yeah.
Okay. Who else has not? Wendy hasn't spoke. Jennifer, you haven't spoken yet. And I think Dan too. Okay. The last question, I guess I'll leave it open for anybody to answer any of the previous questions. And then so, Dan, if you want to speak or.
Okay.
Yeah? Okay.